High spots and cheap pops. Ladies and gentlemen, it's me, Silicon Steve Valli, and I am with reigning Purple Nurple champion, Vladi, and he is here to defend his championship with not one, but two pay-per-views this weekend, and we are starting off with Night of Champions. Vladi, how are you doing, and how are you feeling about Night of Champions as a whole?
Well, I need to remind you that I am the man of the hour, the man with the power, too sweet to be sour, your champion, and by the end of Sunday night, I'll probably be up by another 7 matches, so I'm really looking forward to these picks.
Well, Vladi is trying to have an entire calendar year, and he's off to a heck of a start. He's got to get, I think we have to talk about the exact scheduling of it, but Vladi just has to win one more quarter. That would be 4 in a row. That means he would be the Purple Nurple champ, and there he is. There you go.
There you go.
That was the first night he won it, but we know I had it for a little bit, but you have completely eclipsed, and you've blown me out left and right, and it didn't help. Backlash started with, I'm down 3 matches already because I went with the way I thought it should be booked opposed to the way it was. But
so silly.
Okay. It's okay. So without any further ado, Vladi,
yes,
let's get into our picks as you, with a 3-match lead, take on yours truly, Silicon Steve Valli.
All right, well, let's start with a non-title match. All right, we're going to go in the women's side of things. There in Saudi Arabia, of all places, where we're going to see Becky Lynch against Trish Stratus. Hall of Famer, by the way. Do you want me to choose first, or do you want to go first?
I'm going to go with Trish Stratus.
That's who I picked.
There we go.
And it's like, you know what? Like, and if you saw the promo on Raw, Becky dug pretty deep and brought up some old painful memories where Trish was humiliated by all people of Vince back in the day, the philandering Vince who made her bark like a dog. Remember?
Bark like a dog. Bark like a big dog. Yeah. Look
So,
at that, and bend your ass over in front of me right on TV. That's what everyone wants to see. Me, a perverted, disgusting old man looking at young, beautiful, blonde, big breasts. Thanks, Vince.
And when they went that far with it, I'm like, Trish is gonna get something out of that. I'm like, there's her win right there. I'm like, they dug deep for that one, and it was a bit below the belt. And Becky's playing with house money as always. So you know what? I could see them building this up to, maybe a final match at SummerSlam, and then there you go.
Yeah, and then Trish needs this win because I think she lost a previous comeback match against Charlotte Flair. So she needs a win to make, unless she's going to be a novelty act, but it seems like she's back full time. I think Trish gets it.
Intercontinental Championship here. This should be a no-brainer. We got Gunther against Mustafa Ali. I'm going Gunther, of course.
Absolutely. I don't think there's much reason to talk about as to why Gunther's not losing that championship anytime soon.
The SmackDown Women's Championship, Bianca Belair against Asuka.
I think Bianca wins, but Asuka does something very dastardly and scary.
She's been messing around with the stuff that she spits out of her mouth, mist. So she said she used some sort of peppers or something in the last one, and I couldn't believe they went to that extent to talk about it, but evidently it was more painful this time for Bianca.
I like how they explain that, though. That's good. You should know the difference between what mist is not as painful and what mist is. I like that. Maybe
she'll use lemon juice in the one in Saudi Arabia. Citric acid. Go! Singles match. Let's go Cody and Brock.
Brock Lesnar needs a win here. I went with him last month. I'm going to go with him here again. He needs a win because he has been a loser over the last year.
Yeah, and there's no way Cody is beating him with a kayfabe broken arm, man. There's no way. So therefore, we're going Brock as well. Sort of adds to the story of Cody, shows that he's not invincible, to Brock as well, and evens the playing field, and it's another part of the struggle that we're seeing with Cody here.
And they have one more match, perhaps in a Hell in a Cell again, or they have one other definitive final gimmick match to end it all, and that's when Cody goes over once again.
All right, this one, probably another no-brainer. We got the Raw Women's Championship. We got Rhea Ripley, who is as hot as ever, with good old Dom Dom against Natalya.
Not sure why that was even booked, but Natalya typically has been somebody that you feed to a new champion. That's what's happening here. And good for her for getting a good payday. But Rhea Ripley is on an absolute skyrocket ship right now onto possibly being one of the greatest ever, if not the greatest ever.
Rhea Ripley, hands down. And it's going to be interesting to see the heat that Dom gets in Saudi Arabia. Undisputed Tag Team Championship. We're going to actually see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, who had the opportunity to visit Mecca today for the first time. A very proud moment for him, against the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa.
What's interesting, and I appreciate you doing this, you put the World Championship with, I guess, the more priority. You actually are going with the Tribal Chief first. And if I know you, that was a little bit intentional. I believe the tag team match is going to be the one headlining the night.
Oh, you think so? I thought it'd be the World Heavyweight Championship.
You would think so. This is the thing. That's what I would do but right now it feels very much like a secondary championship. Even AJ Styles has said that, but I digress. Right. We'll get to that in a second. I am actually going to go with the bloodline. Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa do beat Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
And this is where we differ. I'm going Owens and Sami Zayn here. So you're going bloodline.
Roman doesn't lose.
It's true, but might be time for him to lose. And I don't see him having all these belts at this point. I got a feeling, especially with the interaction between Roman and Solo, when Roman was leaving, and you could see that Roman was a little bit nervous. So when I saw that, I'm like, okay, in this tag team match, is it possible that maybe Roman gets annoyed about something Solo does and it costs them the match, and he plays the blame game to the guy that he's afraid of? You know, it was just a weird thing that they foreshadowed there. That's actually one of the reasons why I chose Sami and KO. And honestly, I think that crowd would go crazy if Sami, along with KO, win.
You're probably right. You just convinced me, but I already picked.
Okay. All right. So now here we got the inaugural World Heavyweight Championship between Seth freaking Rollins and AJ Styles. I'll go first if you don't mind. I am going with Seth Rollins.
Yeah, this one's a slam dunk as well. Seth Rollins is, in my opinion, easily going to be the winner of this. First of all, he deserves it. He's putting the work in. He's putting guys over, including Edge and certainly including Cody Rhodes. He has turned this character who we used to mock for being obnoxious, and now the crowd can't get enough of singing his song.
Yep.
He's had banger after banger after banger. In my opinion, he's easily been the best bell-to-bell in that company for a few years now. And AJ Styles just came back, doesn't have a lot of momentum. And he just said that this championship even feels like a secondary belt.
A weird thing for him to say before he's actually going for it, too, by the way.
I thought it was awkward. Now, he did explain later in that. I want to be clear about this. He did say later on is that if we can make it great, we can, and we'll certainly try to do that. So he did say that it's possible that it could be a primary. But like most of us feel like this belt is not really anything to be super excited about. It really isn't. It seems like it's a glorified Intercontinental Championship right now. We had an earlier conversation earlier in the week. It feels like it's going to be okay. It's going to be the Workers' Championship, just like the IC belt was back in the day.
Yeah.
That's what this is going to be. If you don't believe me, you have the two best workers in the company going for the championship. If that's not a statement to what that belt is going to represent, I don't know what is. But the reality is that, hell yeah, it's a secondary belt. You literally made a belt because nobody could beat Roman Reigns. Yep. Roman Reigns is the top dog. He will forever be the top dog, but now he's going to be relegated to Friday nights. So at least just make that its own championship instead of having him carrying around two belts. So I like the sentiment, and I do like having Raw having a champion, but it's a secondary belt. And until Roman Reigns is unseated, it's not even a discussion if it's a secondary belt.
Yep.
It just is. It's going to change hands a lot more. It's going to change hands once or twice, if not 3 or 4 times a year. So this is a secondary belt. Great. Okay. Does Seth Rollins deserve it? Absolutely. And we'll see what he does with it. But the reality is that I want to see Seth Rollins go after Roman Reigns and try to take the Universal World Championship.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with that. I'm excited to see Seth Rollins with a title, but that's kind of how I feel.
And just sort of adding to it, I thought it was an interesting interview that Seth did where it was like he wasn't doing the nasally laugh thing. He was sort of being himself, which watching that interview, he could totally get himself over like that. Like he doesn't have to do the laugh thing. He could still come out and just have them singing, but just be himself without being like the obnoxious Joker laugh, you know, like he could still be a bit crazy, but like you just tone it down a little, man, because I think he's even more likable when he sort of talks that way. So
do you think he's gun shy because the last time he did it, the crowd turned on him during the Fiend match?
It's possible, because he came back with, was that around the time he came back from the injury? And
no, he had just beaten Brock Lesnar at the WrestleMania, but then he lost it, and then he won it back at SummerSlam, and then he feuded with The Fiend, and the crowd completely turned on him, and then I think he ran Fiend over with a semi-truck, and The Fiend still kept on getting up, and then they just ended the match. It was just it just showed you how bad Vince McMahon era wrestling was. How stupid it was.
That was one of the worst Hell in a Cells because he literally murdered The Fiend and then they ended the match.
And all he had to do was light him on fire, stupid.
Just set him ablaze. I mean, come on, Seth.
But that's all for High Spots and Cheap Pops this week. We're talking WWE. So please enjoy your time watching WWE. Of course, Night of Champions, and of course, AEW Double or Nothing. And keep an eye out for our video of AEW Double or Nothing picks as Vladi Dottie continues his defense of the Purple Nurple Championship. For Vladi Dottie, this is Silicon Steve Valley. For High Spots and Cheap Pops, here endeth the lesson.